This is episode 84 of the After Gambling Podcast. And in this episode, we're going to talk about the role of health and fitness in recovery. Hey there, and welcome to the After Gambling Podcast. My name is Jamie. I am a former problem gambler. Now I haven't gambled since July 15th of 2010, coming up on 11 years. Hard to believe. And now I do this little podcast to help other people that are on a similar journey that I'm on. Now today's topic of health and fitness is one that I continue to get more and more excited about because I see the transformation that it can have in my own life. And before we dive into any of the discussion today, remember, I'm just a guy that had a gambling problem, and I will be sharing my N of 1 experiences with health and fitness, but I am by no means a nutritionist or a doctor or any of those things. So please use this for informational purposes, but seek out professional help. This is definitely not health advice. Now, I want to start off the episode by kind of highlighting the ups and the downs of my own personal fitness journey to explain why I think this is so important for us. You see, when I first stopped gambling, there was a void. And one of the ways that I filled that void was through eating. I would not feel comfortable with a thought or an idea. And so I couldn't reach for gambling anymore. I couldn't just go play poker to escape. So I started to reach for food. And over this time, and it's hard to pull apart and decide what is definitely a causation versus correlation. But over this time, I obviously was working through so many things in my life, but there were times I really started to feel really kind of anxious and depressed. And what I've now, over the last 2 or 3 years, realized when I've really kind of focused on my health is that for me, there's a lot of connection, I believe, here between what I eat and the exercise that I have and my personal well-being, my mental well-being, and my physical well-being. And this has been even harder to deny coming out of COVID. Obviously, over the last year and a half, we've had quite a few restrictions. We were in lockdown. We were under a lot of stress. And so it was a time where I reverted back to a lot of my previous bad habits around nutrition and around exercise. I wasn't working out nearly as much, and I was starting to eat some of the foods that I had almost completely eliminated from my diet over about a 2-year span. But over the time, I really started to feel some anxiety coming back, some depression coming back, and obviously some weight coming back. And it was something that eventually I just couldn't deny it, or I was curious about it again and was thinking, oh, is this part of what's making me feel down and groggy? And as I said earlier, we had so many things going on. I'm not going to be able to ever diagnose and say, yes, this was absolutely the root cause. And even now, as I've kind of worked through it, there's so many things that continue to change along with my diet changes that we won't know for sure. But there's enough there that I think it's important to bring it up and to highlight, and if nothing else, for you to work with your doctor, your nutritionist, whomever it may be, to explore maybe is this something that can help you as well. Because ultimately, what I've noticed is that my diet and my exercise does greatly impact my physical and mental well-being. And I think it makes a lot of sense. When 2 or 3 years ago, I found the keto diet, which is what I started off with. And over the time, I've modified that quite a bit. But I started with keto, and I started cutting out so many processed foods, so many sugary foods, the sweets, all of those things had to get eliminated on keto. And I also eliminated the packaged goods because so many of those, when you're doing keto, it's very focused on low carb. Under 20 carbs net a day is technically keto. And I did very strict keto for about 18 months where I was almost always under that. And in that time, I lost quite a bit of weight. And during that little time, I didn't work out too much. I was just kind of walking a little bit. But ultimately, it was almost strictly diet. But what I found, and it makes sense, was as I started losing weight, my energy went up. My confidence level went up. I started to get a little bit of a swagger back. You felt good. And it makes sense, right? Anytime we set out, it's just like when we stop gambling. Those first few weeks, we really get an adrenaline rush. And we start to kind of knock over one stone and then another. And it's kind of like dominoes. They start kicking over bigger and bigger things. And we can tackle bigger and bigger things that previously seemed like it was undoable. We just couldn't do it. And so there is this energy that I think starts to become unleashed within us. when we start to move in the right direction. So with diet and exercise, we start to feel differently, physically feel differently, or notice differences in the mirror, or the way our clothes fit, or what the scale says on a day-to-day basis. And all of these things can really boost our energy and our confidence. And I really think that when we're just trying to live life in general, but especially when we're kind of coming beyond a gambling problem, a big part of that recovery is just getting our confidence back. And so diet and exercise is one of those areas that is almost completely within our control. Sure, there's going to be limits, and we could go into those. But ultimately, we are ultimately in control over the food that we purchase and the food that we eat and the energy that we expel in our lives. So it's a great place to start with trying to explore what makes us tick, why we do what we do, and how we can do it a little bit better. And like I said, for me, it was exploring the keto diet and exploring walking, tracking my walking. Okay, what happens if I walk 3 miles a day? How do I feel? And really kind of challenging myself and pushing myself beyond some of my limits that were just kind of my mentally imposed limits of previous times, where I just thought, okay, I'm always going to want to eat sugary foods. But then I went on keto and I tried something different. And all of a sudden, people early on, I remember them saying, oh, you'll lose your sweet tooth. And I actually did, kind of like the sweets when I would try something that was so sweet, or just, it had no appeal for me anymore. Probably also because I knew mentally it was going to hold me back. It was not part of the plan, and it wasn't going to help me move forward in my life. And based off of my experiences, I just really wanted to do this episode to bring it up as an option to explore. Because this might be another tool that you can add to kind of your toolbox of things that really help you in your recovery and in your growth after gambling, after addiction. Because I've seen personally how much benefit it's done for me and in my life. And I've seen other people. Obviously, I'm not the only person that's ever lost a few pounds or started working out and started to feel energized again. You feel youthful. You kind of return back to that point in a lot of ways before I was gambling, because it was for me in my early 20s when I was very active. And then I got into this kind of lull, and I just kind of became complacent in so many ways. And diet and exercise was definitely one of those. But now I'm definitely kind of pursuing these things again. And it's something that I feel energized, and it really helps just kind of to overcome those times when you don't feel like you can continue on. You're on a hike and you just, man, I'm exhausted, but you push through. And ultimately, there's so much good, just kind of mental energy that comes from pushing through these difficult tasks. Quitting gambling is definitely a difficult task, and you've probably felt that positive energy, that positive flow. And think back to other areas of your life, things that you've accomplished in life. It's all about getting through the struggle. And I really think that leaning into this struggle is something that can really benefit us. So I'll kind of share some of my personal plan. Right now, I try to get out for a walk every morning. It's one thing I definitely notice the difference in my day, my productivity, my energy level, just my overall outlook, if I get my walk in or if I don't get my walk in. And in the past, I used to walk with headphones or podcasts and listen to things. But now I really use this as kind of a meditative walk, where I just kind of go for a 45-minute to an hour and a half walk. And I try not to listen to anything. If anything, I'll just kind of capture my own thoughts in kind of a notes app on my phone. But this walk, I mean, you can almost hit. I mean, I know there's all the step counters talk about 10,000 steps. And so many days I'm at 8,000 or 10,000 steps before I even start my day in a lot of ways, because I get that walk in early. And I think that sense of accomplishment early in the day is one of those dominoes that tips over, along with obviously just kind of creating some good energy in our lives. And there's obviously studies that are done. You can go research, and I would encourage you to go seek out what are the studies, what do scientists tell us about exercise and nutrition and their impacts on our mental and physical well-being? Because it's something that's, like I said, well beyond my knowledge or insight. I just know what it does for me, and I definitely feel those positive endorphins or whatever they are that release when I get that energy going early in the morning when I get out for that walk. And the other huge advantage of walks is that they fill time. Had a coaching call this week and we were talking about what should we do to fill time. And one of the things I threw out was go for a long walk, find a trail and go for a hike. It's something that maybe it takes up 45 minutes, an hour, however long you want to go for. But it's a perfect kind of antidote to some of those gambling thoughts. Go put yourself out in the middle of woods and get that exercise in. When you're done, you're going to have surfed that urge. And then you're also going to have a nice workout in it. You're going to feel a sense of accomplishment that wouldn't be there if you just kind of sat there and just tried to like kind of white knuckle your way through it. So I really think exercise is also a great way for us to adapt a new habit, a new thing in our life that really benefits us, as well as takes up time that might otherwise be spent thinking about gambling. Now, in addition to my walks, one thing that I've added in recently, which I really am already starting to see some benefits to, is strength training. Weightlifting. And I started off just kind of doing push-ups. We all can do push-ups, right? You don't need anything to do push-ups. And there's so many great body weight exercises. If you're interested in starting to do some of this stuff, go to YouTube and search body weight exercise or body weight strength training, because especially during lockdown with COVID, so many content creators created whole plans on how you can do all sorts of workouts from your own bedroom. So there's really no excuse for it. I'm lucky I have a nice little workout machinery, and I've been doing some weightlifting each day. And it's down near my office. And so there's times I'll just run over and just bust out a couple reps. And again, this is something that I can feel myself getting stronger. It's something I don't always want to do, but when I finish it, I'm so glad that I did. And it's just another thing where I'm feeling more empowered. And I think ultimately when we focus on our health, we are truly getting a great benefit because we know we're investing in ourselves. It's something that's completely within our control and that we see the benefits. So I've been doing my daily walks. I've been doing strength training quite often. And then the other big one, again, is just going back to the food. It's something that, like I said, that's where my health journey sort of started, or this most recent health journey started. But there's so much truth to the fact that we can't outwork our fork. Ultimately, we are what we put in our mouth. And for me, the thing that I've really focused on, and again, this seems like stuff that my grandma would just slap me over the head and say, of course, but it's just eating whole foods, buying my own whole foods and cooking them, not buying the processed stuff. Even if it's like French fries, instead of doing French fries that have other preservatives in them, we've been getting just kind of those whole small little potatoes, and I put some olive oil and salt and pepper on and roast them up, and they're delicious. But focusing on eating whole foods and cutting out so many of the added sugars and added vegetable oils and all those other things that get added, it just makes sense that if we kind of focus on simple ingredients, those are probably the best options for us. And I definitely feel completely different. And the most shocking thing of all is just when I eat these whole foods is how I feel satiated. And when I don't have all the sugars, I can go a long time without eating. I've gotten into the fasting at times, which is interesting. It's something that you can look into and research and make your own decisions on. But it's something that when I first started this, I would eat from the time I woke up till the time I went to bed. And in so many ways, I felt like a slave. And that feeling was very reminiscent of my time when I was gambling. And it was so similar. But then once I was able to break out, I started to build momentum and get confidence. And those are two things that I think are vital. Whatever you're going to do, find two things that you can get a little bit of momentum and build a little bit of confidence. So look back at your history, things that you were good at in the past. Maybe it was sports, maybe it was some kind of computer hobby, just helping others, kind of getting involved in your community. Whatever it is that gave you that kind of that spark and that feeling of feeling good and building some momentum and feeling confident, I would encourage you to do it. And especially, like I say, this topic is all about health and exercise and eating well. And it doesn't need to be perfect. One of my favorite guys that I follow on Twitter, he always talks about health and fitness, and he always highlights, nobody ever said, hey, I had that one meal and I gained 30 pounds. It's all the little steps. So if you mess up sometimes, just like with gambling, just try to get back on track as soon as possible. But I really encourage you, get out, do some exercising, lift some weights, go for a walk, find clean, healthy foods to eat. And maybe it's not all the time, but do a meal with it and then try to do another meal. And I'm confident that you will find what I found, which was as these things really start to be added together and over time, over weeks and months, and then onto years, it really starts to make a difference. I feel it, and now I can kind of tell and feel when I'm sort of doing the things that work really well for me with my diet and with my exercise. I feel great. And when I get a little bit off track, I start to notice them, and it's not a big deal. Now I just know I need to get back on track with them, get back to my walks, get back to eating whole foods, get back to the things that worked for me in the past. And ultimately, as I'll sum up here, it doesn't matter if it's with gambling, with working out, with work, with relationships. It's all about just identifying, being curious about what's working for us and what's not working for us, not getting too attached to anything emotionally and not judging ourselves or being too critical, but just stopping and saying, hey, maybe that's not working. And then go out and explore what are some new options. And so many times I think that the solution is right there within our grasp, especially now with the internet. We can research things and we can come up with new ideas and see what's working for other people in areas of our life that we want to improve. And we can kind of draw upon their experiences, just like with this podcast. You can do the same with a health and fitness podcast to really make some changes in your life that will be noticeable and positive and build that momentum and confidence. So I encourage you, get out there, get moving, change up what you're putting into your body and see if it has a good effect on you. Now, as I said at the intro, I am just a guy that had a gambling problem, so don't take any of this as health advice. Go talk to your doctor, go talk to a nutritionist, talk to a therapist for your emotional stuff, our baggage. We all have that. It's good to talk to other people to get this stuff out of us. And please continue to seek professional help. This is just a bridge, hopefully, to get you to feel the confidence that you can go get that professional help. Now, I hope this will be inspirational. Hopefully it gets you up, moving. It's that one little thing, that one little spark, because that's all we need is one little spark to get us curious, to go out and seek out new information or to try new things. And then everything starts to click. And then all of a sudden we look back and it's like, wow, was it that easy? Was it just one thought, one inspiration that got us moving in the right direction? And hopefully this is one of those things for you. Just like hearing my friend talk about keto was one of those things for me. So I look forward to hearing how this works out for you. I wish you all the best, as always. And I'll just continue to show up, share what's working for me so that hopefully it creates some curiosity within you that you go out and find the things that work for you. Because once you dial those things in and find out what works for you, I'm telling you, everything really continues to get easier and easier. At least that's what I'm seeing in my life. That's all for today. Music for the show is Something Elated by Broke for Free and is licensed under the Creative Commons license. My name is Jamie, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.